Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, August the 25th, 2017, and this is Technical Alpha Podcast number 24. We are almost at a quarter-life crisis, gentlemen. We've almost made it. Soon, we're gonna have to buy like a Porsche Boxster and start driving it.
I thought the quarter-life
town.
crisis was the C63, man. Yeah,
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm trying to figure out your audio, Panic, because you sounded like really quiet to me there. I don't know. I'll poke at it over the course of the podcast. I'm sure it's fine.
My levels are good, man.
I believe you. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming Discord. Mr. Black, how you doing today?
Good. Pretty good.
Nothing catastrophic this week?
No. Normal week this week. Thank God.
That's good, because if it was another week like before, normal would have been batshit crazy for you at that point. It would have just kind of normalized into something stupid is going to happen every single week. But hey, there's always hope for next week.
That's right.
Maybe something will happen. Maybe something will happen next week. Oh no, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But we've got a. I'm not going to call it a thin week this week, because the number one topic for this first segment, depending on how much alcohol we do or do not consume, could go on for a considerable length of time.
It could be its own podcast.
It could be. Maybe it will end up being its own podcast. Who knows? That's half the excitement here. We're just gonna fucking find out what happens when we press the go button. So, yeah. Before we start, I've forgotten for a couple weeks now, so I can't keep forgetting. Mr. MaximusBlack.
Yeah.
Hit me up with the sound of waking up expecting your life to end after the last few weeks and then realizing it's a normal day.
Oh God, here we go. Here we go. Woo! I'm ready to die. Wait. It's a normal ass day. Let's go.
It's pretty bad when just having a regular ass day was probably the most exciting thing that's happened for you in the last couple of weeks. Just to have a nice, like, I'll just wake up and do my normal shit. I'll go get in the truck and sit in the parking lot of some Tim Hortons somewhere for like an hour and a half and come home later. Oh my goodness. But yeah, we've got a pretty good podcast lined up for you guys today, as always. Last week, we talked a bit. And by a bit, I mean it almost dominated a good chunk of the podcast. With us attempting to not let it dominate the podcast, it still managed to happen. Jeff brought up the whole Starcraft 2 patch notes thing for the balance changes that went down. I don't know, when did that... It was last week sometime, right?
Yeah.
Did those
Yeah,
drop?
it dropped last week, like a day or two before the podcast.
Okay, so... they've been out for a while. I don't have my ear to the ground, so I don't know how the community has generally reacted to this necessarily. All I know is that I remember Jeff saying there was some crazy shit, and so now we're gonna find out what some of this crazy shit was. We're gonna talk about the StarCraft 2 balance changes, and probably theorycraft, like nobody should ever do because the StarCraft community fucking hates it. But damn it, this is our show, and if I want to sound retarded, I will do it. Bring it on, StarCraft Reddit. Nobody's listening to this on StarCraft Reddit. We don't need to worry about that. No. Not a single person. So I'm waiting
for the Reddit post now. It's gonna go up as soon as the podcast is over, and then it's gonna be like, these motherfuckers
shitting all over StarCraft 2. Now that StarCraft Remastered has hit the shelves, they're already backing up on it.
And then the Brood War folk are gonna dive in saying, we don't want these motherfuckers either. You can have them.
Trapped in some weird StarCraft purgatory.
No man's land.
Exactly. So, I mean, you guys I probably know more about this than I do. So I'll be the... Yeah, they're in the notes for the episodes. If you go there, Panic found the link. Yeah, Panic found it. I looked for them. Apparently, I'm already like a 78-year-old man, and I can't use Google properly anymore, so I couldn't find them. Panic did.
He's like, yo, do you have the link? I'm like, yeah, give me 30 seconds, and I had it in about 10. So I literally just typed it into Google.
It's a good thing we don't have to program Blu-ray players. I'd be fucked. Calling up Panic. How do you set it to PM? It's stuck on AM. I can't change it. I'll rely on it.
That happens a lot, Adam. Happens a lot.
So yeah, I've heard bits and pieces from different people about it. There was definitely like a day or two on my Twitter feed whereby several people within the StarCraft community were either joking about it or being serious about it or whatever. I don't know if... like I said before, I don't know what the general consensus on this has been. It sounded to me like these were changes whereby Blizzard was doing their damnedest to be more forgiving to players that aren't really high-functioning RTS skill levels.
It was kind of a mix. Like, I think Jeff and I talked about it a little bit at one point, towards the tail end of the last podcast, but part of it was they are kind of reinforcing some bad habits that players have on one end, but on the other end, there were quite a few changes that were seen favorably by the community in it overall, because it'll kind of change the flow of the game without it being where you pretty much can end the game like almost instantly. Like it makes it so that you can recover, and there are some abilities to kind of have turnaround combat and actually have it match go back and forth a bit.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't... I mean, okay, so on a high level... So like on a super high...
Before we dive into this.
As we just pitched this to like the board of directors that know absolutely dick all, and they said, give me a bullet point on what this is going to do for the company... That sounds great. Like communism on paper, damn it, that sounds amazing.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening. I didn't want to like dive into it right off. Like, let's, that's just high level.
But at a high level, the idea.
Why don't you go down the, just go down the patch notes and just kind of talk about it, and then just kind of give our opinion on it.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are, not as big, that won't require much discussion, and then there's some ones that are, game changing. As a whole.
Well, I'll let you spearhead this one.
I'm not gonna go. You're gonna get me, the guy who has a hard time making it through 4 paragraphs or something, to read off the patch notes.
I'll take this.
Well, we don't need to read it off. We don't need to read it off. We'll be here until Christmas. Just give like the summary idea of it, and then just we can talk about it, I guess.
All right. Well,
I believe in you.
Okay.
Jeff, you want me to grab the econ one, and then you grab like the Protoss and the unit ones?
Go ahead.
All right. So starting off with the econ, Blizzard pretty much said there's too many games where they'll just deny a player a third and a fourth base. So what they're going to do is make it so that players can last longer on their first and second bases. So what they did was in Legacy of the Void, when it came out, they changed the mineral distributions so that bases run out faster. So they had large mineral nodes and small ones. So pretty much what they did was the small mineral nodes are staying at 900 minerals, but the large ones are going from 1500 to 1800 per node. So you can mine them a little bit longer. And then they increased the Vespene at each geyser from like 2000 to 2250 so that the ratio stays the same. So effectively, that should let you fight a little bit longer on your primary and natural before you have to like start running out of minerals.
Yeah, I mean, I like the change. Yeah. I like it because it worked before they made a lot of the big, fast gameplay changes. So that StarCraft sped up regardless. And then when they cut down the minerals, it was StarCraft on hyperspeed. Because I mean, it's gonna work well for me and my style because I am a 1-2 base player. So it allows me to sit on one base and effectively, get at least one more extra big attack out and one more chance to end my opponent through some gimmicky play or some all-in play before I basically have to GG out. Because a lot of the time before, if I was on 2 base and I was against Zerg and my first push did not win, it was pretty much game over. I couldn't do much beyond that because I was then forced to go and grab a third because my main is basically running out. Now I'll be able to, sit on the base a little bit longer. Not only that, we'll be able to just play StarCraft a little longer, just kind of enjoy the process a little bit more.
Yeah, from what I saw, like overall, the whole mineral, like when they did the change in the Legacy, it knocked anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes off of almost every game. Because effectively, like the game would end around the 3rd, 4th expansion or around the 2nd to 3rd if you can deny it. So I think we'll get some longer games out of this.
Yeah, that was just my first thought when you were reading that off there was just with Legacy of the Void and like Jeff said, just the speed went through the roof and everything happened inside of like 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Yeah. And it did it changed the game a little too dramatically in that regard. It was a little too fast, and it opened up for I think maybe a little too much reward for sticking to early game, just because everything came in so fast. And so if these changes, like a torque, oh my god, it's like every week has been a car reference ever since Jeff's got his car, like a torque curve, and you can change the gear ratios and everything else, and you can get a torque curve. There is a downside sometimes to having a torque curve that just is like whatever and then goes 0 to a fucking vertical line out of nowhere and it's shit, and then you can have like more naturally aspirated engines or something and the torque curve is much more smooth out over the course of the RPM range. And if that's what this does to StarCraft 2, whereby it's not just cramming everything into the first 5 minutes of the match and allowing the game to breathe a little and stretch it out a bit more before everything hits the fan, then that's okay by me. And sounds good.
I've been playing a lot of Remastered, and by the way, which is amazing. One thing that I've been seeing in my chat, and one thing that I've noticed as well, is playing Remastered. It really feels like I'm playing an RTS. It feels like, and I mean that not saying that StarCraft isn't, because it is, but it's almost like playing a strategic game of chess where you're taking your time, you're figuring out what it is that you want to do, you're more observant. Everything isn't instant gratification, like it isn't like here and over in 4 minutes. Each game can go anywhere from 10 minutes to 40 minutes, real game time or real lifetime.
The whole decision-making process was kind of cut short in Brood War, mainly because you have to spend your time actually managing your units. Like StarCraft 2 automated away like a lot of the little micro things you have to do for your base. Like you have to manage your SCVs, you have to manage like where everything's going, you have to manage your rally points, you have to manage your small unit groups. That kind of slows down the decision-making process for everyone, so you have to like actually make more calculated moves over a longer game.
It's nice too. It's like I feel more invested in Brood War in terms of like gameplay, where I feel like I'm accomplishing things and there's natural progression in the game. It's not like, if Zerg doesn't have his base by like 3 minutes, 5 seconds, he's all inning me, and now I gotta get now I gotta get this, and then that's the show. Or there's gonna be a Widow Mine drop here at this specific time, and if he gets one hit off, it's GG. There's a lot more to it. Even just static defense makes the game makes it scary to go and attack somebody. And I just love the fact that I feel like I'm invested in a game again. It's not like let's queue one up and see who can end this the fastest. It's like let's queue this up and play a game of virtual chess. And I like that.
Go at it.
And I like the fact that StarCraft 2 is adding more minerals to. I mean, it's not going to be anything drastic. It's not going to like change the whole dynamic of the game, but
I feel like it'll shift like a minute or two.
Yeah, it'll definitely have it'll definitely warrant you'll notice it. You'll definitely notice it, especially a certain play styles. So I like that. I like the economy change. That's good.
All right. This next one is going to be a little interesting. They're redesigning the mule. So the mule will still drop as it usually does, but now it can also harvest Vespene gas. That's going to go, it can harvest 10 per trip, but to compensate, they're going to drop the minerals it can mine from 25 to 20. Mm. So now you can effectively mule hammer and like some other random base just to get gas if you need it. Yeah. Now you can't do more than one. It'll there's a pretty big drop in efficiency if you do more than one, but still pretty big because it counts as what, like 2.5 STVs.
Yeah. No, it's good. I don't see this being a massive game changer. I like the dynamic. I like the fact that Terran is going to have to choose, like, do I need gas or do I want minerals? Chances are a lot of the time it is going to be minerals. The only thing that I could see where this is going to play a big factor is if you
late
are
game battle cruiser.
Well, no, I think it's
or
think
even
it's going to
early
be
game if you can get
early
that
game
for like early game like Reapers and stuff when you just need that little bit extra
exactly
gas.
What I think what might happen is your Terrans will continue to open up gas, and this will be for very specific play, 1-1-1 play, certain type of gas intensive builds. I mean, even like cyclone pushes or something like that, where you open up gas to get out your fast tech, your factory.
Mule saves you 2 SCV trips.
Yeah, well,
one, so
and also it's you can collect gas up into a certain point, right? It's kind of like the same philosophy where Zerg will go, they'll put down an extractor, they'll get their 100 gas, and they'll pull the drones off because they have a certain play in mind. I think that's what's going to happen with mules. Is the SCV is going to build it, they're going to collect their initial gas to get whatever tech labs and factories and starports or whatever that they need. They're going to pull the SCVs to get maximum amount of minerals, and then they're going to pump mules on the gas to get that gas quicker for those units and still have that big mineral dump that they'll be able to put into something else for very specific type.
That's a couple extra Marines at the same time.
Yeah.
So that sounds to me like it's going to give them an avenue to break into mech faster now than they did before, and maybe not have to rely so heavily on earlier tier units to get them to that transition point.
Yeah, I mean, it can work
a little bit of a change.
It can work with upgrades. It can work with tech. I mean, really anything that because typically with Terran and even with all the races, but I think even more so, Protoss might be a little bit more. But with Terran and Protoss, at the very least, their really powerful stuff is gas. Like, it needs gas. Protoss a little bit more so than Terran because bio balls are really strong. But, I mean, in terms of, like, the real meat, getting those Liberators, getting out the medevacs, getting out siege tanks, whatever, cyclones, whatever it is that you want to get that is going to be the make or break. I mean, even a decent player can defeat like a Marine push or something like that, or even with a couple of Marauders. But once they get that medevac out, once they get those medevacs out, that's when you almost need AoE in order to kill a bio ball. So what Terran is probably likely going to be able to do now is they're going to be able to push out those scary pushes a little bit sooner than before, just because the mules will collect the gas faster than what an SCV would. So I think we're going to see really strict, bizarre timings from Terran that will benefit people that are very keen on timing. I think this is going to benefit people that already have the timings and builds down, and now they're going to be able to tweak it a little bit so that it can hit 15, 20 seconds earlier, which can be everything in StarCraft.
I also feel like that I completely agree with what Jeff just said, but one of the other things I kind of see this doing is late game Terrans have a problem if they lose like an early engagement or the first couple of engagements. They have a hard time building their gas up quickly again. They can build their minerals up because they can do the mule hammer, they can drop a ton of them, and they can get it back. But if you lose that big army you built, but you're still in the game, you don't really have any options to go back in with a gas heavy composition. You pretty much have to drop the mules and then you go back to tier 1, tier 2 units. With this, they can drop the mules, they can get the gas back up, so they could probably put up, some more late tech fights in the late game, I think. It just gives them that option. It kind of prevents their opponent from being like, oh yeah, no, this guy's just gonna be throwing, Marines at me now. It's like, no, he might actually be throwing some more mech at me.
Well, it's one of those things where, especially super late game, where you're up against, it's say 20 minutes in, which is a late game in Legacy of the Void, and both players are fucked. I mean, they're scattering all over the map. It's almost a base race, because there comes a point where you actually have to base race Terran, and that's something that you never want to do. But you get into a position where they'll just concave you, and you will never be able to leave. So you have to just go out and take a leap of faith. It's your fault that you put yourself in that predicament. But in the late game, this will be huge, because as a Protoss player, I know what Terran can have towards the late game. If he's fucked, I know he's only really going to be able to pump out Marines and shit now. It's like, okay,
yeah.
But with those mules, because I don't know how many games
bases
where I've been like, fucking mules, always keeping Terrans in the game, fucking mules, there comes the Marines. Well, now it could be like, oh shit, here's another Liberator, here's another battle cruiser, here's another, 2 medevacs.
Just
like, oh my goodness.
Expect.
Yeah, because when Terran's floating around and towards late game, they don't really build refineries. It's all about getting minerals out and getting more and more Marines. If they're smart, they hadn't lost all their medevacs, and then they can re-push. Well, now you might see things change a little bit. So I think it's cool. I'm okay with it. I'm not calling it OP or anything like that. I think it's it's interesting.
I think they made it fair because, again, the mineral drop on it's also going to have a bigger impact. Going from 25 to 20, that's going to slow down that massive Marine push. It's going to disincentivize it a little bit, I think.
For
what
sure.
are your thoughts, Adam?
All right, what's next? I already said my thoughts. I'm good. I'm good. I already said my thoughts.
All right, this is a lot of Terran stuff. So the next one is the Raven. Pretty much Blizzard has said we do not like the way the Raven is being played right now. Because people are just building way too many of them. You've seen those abusive strategies with the auto turrets and stuff. So big changes to Raven. Auto turret and point defense drone gone.
Holy shit. Well, somewhere right now, Ketrick is crying in the corner of a room somewhere.
And the Seeker missile is being redesigned. So pretty much they removed everything and they've added new stuff. So the first thing they added is the Scrambler missile. It's pretty much a watered down version of Lockdown from Brood War. It costs 50 energy. It fires out a lockdown. The unit cannot fire and it can't use abilities, but I'm not clear. It might still be able to move around, so it's not like a total lockdown. They just can't do anything with the unit. And then they've added the repair drone, which is pretty much like it is in all the co-op and everything. It can repair mech units. So pretty much the Raven becomes like a medevac for stuff. The repair drone itself can't move though; it's locked into a location. And then the replacement to the Seeker missile is called the Shredder missile. It does, from what I'm seeing here, it does only 30 splash damage, but it reduces the armor to anything it hits by 3 for like a second or two, a couple of seconds. So the reason they say this is like, hey, if this hits something and you've got like a squad of Marines nearby, your Marines are going to do a lot better. So like if you like run into like Ultralisks or something, you can hit them with the Shredder missile, and then all your other units will be able to kind of clean it up, type of thing. So they kind of wanted the Raven to go back to being more of like a support unit instead of where you had like 20 of them and it just became kind of like impossible to fight against. They're constantly dropping like auto turrets and like harass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to this because I just don't know what it's going to be like until I see it. It's one of those things where everything is just kind of new. So I really don't know what it's going to impact.
On paper, it looks good to me. I agree with Blizzard on the fact that the Raven,
there were some cancer Raven
became builds. Well, yeah, it became something it was never supposed to be, right? I mean, it was supposed to be. I mean, imagine going back to Brood War and then just massing arbiters, like it's just, which I'm sure somebody at some point has done. But you know what I mean? It was not its primary purpose, not even close. And the auto turrets and everything were just so strong, and so I can agree with these changes. It will be fun to see how. I think particularly the Shredder missile pans out.
I'm curious about that one the most.
Because that could pretty dramatically change how, like you were saying, I would say.
I was surprised
the most
they took out
TVZ.
the point defense drone, but I was happy they took out the autocannon. Like, I feel like the Shredder missile, though, overall just makes it more of like a synergy unit. Like, you can just use it with your other stuff.
Yeah. I feel like it definitely would definitely help TVZ the most. I think when you just in your example, I think you hit it for sure against like Ultralisks. That's going to make a huge impact when, as before, just watching a Terran in late game trying to deal with Ultralisk, if they hadn't managed to get themselves to like BC or some crazy nonsense, was just like it was like watching somebody basically just scramble for their lives the whole time. It was, how well can we split up my units as best as possible, and everyone needed to be Marine King in order to pull it off. And now, if we get the Shredder missile involved, then it can be a bit more effective for Terran, and maybe not feel so overwhelming as soon as you see that fun bus charging towards your base. So. Yeah, I like Jeff was saying as well, when something this dramatic to a unit happens, it's gonna probably take a good chunk of time before we see just what this is going to become, especially at a high level in StarCraft. There's gonna be people dicking around with this to see what the min-max of these changes will be for Ravens, and I think it will be fun. I bet you Nate's gonna go on a fucking field day with this, trying to figure out what he can do with it, for sure. So we'll probably be able to talk more about that later on. But yeah, that's, for me, I like the changes at a high level because I think that by the looks of it anyway, it sounds like it's going to accomplish what it's trying to accomplish, and that is turn the Raven back into a support unit and not some sort of, based god that can single-handedly win a game.
Yeah.
This next one, I'm pretty sure at some point, if Jeff was a church-going man, he would have sat down and be like, "Please God,
preach
this." This is the Widowmine changes. Now when Widowmine fires, it is now decloaked, even if it's burrowed, until it's done loading. I think that's all we need to say about it.
Can I get an amen? Preach.
I feel like that's all we need to say about it. Completely makes sense.
I almost just want to play StarCraft 2 again all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's a pretty big change. I think along with the Raven, that's a little overdue.
Yeah.
Like, that could have happened both of those changes probably could have happened a long time ago, but here we are. I guess better late than never, and that sounds great.
This is the first change they had where they were like, yeah, we really want to stop those devastating one-shots that'll just end a match because, one, it just tilts the other player, and two, it's just really annoying to clean up. This was that. Like, this is the one they're like, yeah, this is the low-hanging fruit.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go on I'm going to do my best to not go on a tear here today.
Jeff, but, how cheap are they, though?
Dude, I'm telling you, Widowmines give you money. All right? They're so ridiculous, and you know what? I think deep down inside, Terrans knew this day was coming. They knew that the day of reckoning was coming, and they have already mourned long ago about this. And I just, they're so stupid that it's ridiculous. So many cheesy and here's a guy talking about cheese, but they're beyond they're beyond gimmicky. Like, they're so ridiculously broken. It's dumb. and it's okay for the really high level players. You know, it's even hard for them. You know, all it takes is one moment in time and you're done. But for the players that just don't mechanically or not at a high diamond level plus, even master level plus, they are so easy to win games with. It's retarded. Like, it's just the fact that you can force a Protoss to either get on an Oracle, which they can kill in one hit anyway, but also either force going Robo or something like that to get on an Ops. And chances are, if you're doing like a fast Nexus, I mean, really, there's so many builds. I mean, even if you open up Robo, all it takes is just one hit. It's so crazy. And the fact that they can stay cloaked and keep doing that infinitely, it's dumb. So I think this is a great change. They can still blow shit up. They can still be have massive impact, kind of like a fast Oracle can do. But like an Oracle, it runs out of energy. And when it runs out of energy, that's the show. Or like an Oracle, it can get one hit by a Widow Mine. Or if you have 6 Marines, it can get killed. Or you put up 1 missile turret and it stops. Problem is, with Widow Mines, you don't have those options. You don't have those like kill it instantly options, or hey, I got you. You know, I see it coming. I got you. It's coming. You know it's coming. The question is the player going to be good enough to put you in a position or bait you, or even just speed in with a medevac and drop and go? I mean, they even have tunneling claws where they're like fucking they go underground in half a second, and there's nothing, you can't even get out of the way of them. So, perfect change. I fucking love it.
I think
love it.
I'm happy with it because of of them being visible after they do their thing. I like it because despite the fact that they're still obviously going to be capable of ruining your day.
Oh, yeah.
In the same exact way that you just described. You can't just like what was his name? Ron, set it and forget it. The fucking oven shit. And forget it. It was like the same B footage of somebody in the crowd going, yes. So they can still totally do that, but they can't just walk away from it now. Now it's going to be probably you're going to end up seeing
the player
the medevac has to
pick it back
up,
or
the medevac has to hang in there, and then they're going to have to take that that time away from whatever they're doing to go get to the medevac, pick up their mine if they want to keep it, fuck off somewhere, and then come back and do it again at a later time, which is so much better than just boosting in there, dropping them, getting the fuck out, and just be like, all right, deal with it, and then just go do whatever it is that you're doing.
There's a risk and reward to it now. Before it was just all reward. And even if it had failed and you only got like 2 probes, it was still cost effective. Usually it made a Protoss take all of his probes off the mineral line. They're super cheap anyway.
Your money back real quick.
It's whatever. It allows you to macro, right? Because your opponent is sitting there going, what the fuck, and you're just macroing like crazy, and you just, like you said it and forget it. Not only that, mid-late game, you start to see more and more Widow Mines. So against like Charge Lot builds, Charge Lot Archon, they just start planting those bitches all over the place. Even in matchups like a TVZ, they just have them all over the place. And even when you have an observer, and they're going to instantly go after your observer. You can't get close enough to anything. You can't even build Colossus because they're garbage. You never build those. Usually it was like using disruptors or stalkers, and usually in stalkers late game against Terran are the most they're the worst decision ever. It's like building scouts in StarCraft 1. They're useless. So I love the fact that this changes, because when they first get those initial shots off and they kill whatever units they get, then they have an opportunity to be killed without having to go the extra mile of getting vision. And now there's some stakes involved with it. Now there's some risk.
Just out of curiosity, because I obviously wouldn't know the answer to this off the top of my head, but what was the timing window between a Widow Mine hitting and your ability to have an observer out? Was it around the same time? Was it, what was it?
If you're planning for it, you could have it.
Yeah, it all depends. If they're proxying it, you can't get it out quick enough. Like if for some reason you had a guy was in your base, well, that happens all the time. It would typically show up. But you could, it was very close. Like if you know it's coming, you're typically okay in the fact that, okay, I'm preparing for it. You can usually get the ops out, or just at around that time. But if you aren't specifically ready for it, you're not going to have the stuff out. It's one of those things that you got to beeline to the tech, right? You just got to get there and deal with it. But the problem is when you're beelining that, now it forces your hand. It forces you to go robo units. And, you know, the Terran's going to know that, right? They're going to just transition into Liberator and some kind of, you know, push with that. You can't just chuck down a robo and a Stargate and then decide to go air as well. It forces you to play a certain way. And then if the Terran's smart enough and they not only are wrecking your mineral line or at least getting you off your game, they're also scouting with that Widow Mine. They can see exactly what you're doing and they're going to prepare for it. And that's the thing with Widow Mines is you just set it and forget it, like you said. And there's no risk. It's dumb. Now there's risk. Get fucked, Terran. Get fucked. I'm coming for that ass.
Don't count your chickens, because you never know what's coming up next on the patch notes. What do we got, Panic?
I'm going to actually ask a question before I go into this too much.
Sure.
This is about the Ghost. Now, based on my understanding, to me, the Ghost became a really terrible unit in any composition other than against Protoss when they took away Snipe. I don't see them too often, so I kind of am curious before I go into it. What are your thoughts on the Ghost as a unit composition thing?
Well, the Ghosts right now, they are very strong if you're proxying Ghosts. There's this new cheesy build. It's not really new now. It's been out for a while, where you can proxy Ghosts and they'll hit you before you have anything to stop them. So those have been a bad time. But beyond that,
what are they strong against? Like they don't have snipe, so they can't like do a lot of damage to the one
EMP,
unit.
man.
They're just strong.
They're just
EMP
units.
It's an EMP.
That's it. They're
Yeah.
EMP units.
Yeah.
That's the show.
All right.
And it's not even just EMP. It's completely game changing. I mean, I thought they were gonna nerf the Ghost and make it so that the EMP's radius was much smaller. But you know, it is what it is.
Yep. So what they're doing with the Ghost is now they're bringing back some of the old stuff that they had for it. The cloak is now by default. You don't have to research it. Ghost, just get it. And now they start with 50 energy instead of 75. So they kind of brought it down a little bit. But they re-added that Mobius reactor upgrade to the Ghost Academy, so it adds 25 starting energy. So effectively, they gave it a little bit more of an upgrade path, but they removed the requirement to have to research Cloak. So I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it just kind of like still leveling what you can do with Ghost just prevents you from like diving in early with Cloak.
Well, just reading their intention here anyway, is they're talking about trying to get the Ghost to be a bit safer to tech to for Terrans, and then make it a more viable thing in the mid to late for them, I guess, while giving them the opportunity for, as they say here, to make the Ghost as an unusual but strategic opening for Terran players.
Yeah, basically a cheesy
reading between the lines there, reading between the lines there would be cheese.
Yeah.
So, because what Jeff just said is with the semi but not quite fresh off the block cheese that he was talking about, or whatever, the rush for Ghosts, this sounds like it's going to make that even better.
It is.
Because now they don't have to research Cloak. They start with plenty of energy, and that just seems like it's going to make it even better. So I don't know. We will find out.
You, dude, they are strong. They're like DT strong, and they'll snipe your probes off in seconds. I don't think this change is going to stay. I think they're going to have to make it so that
we'll dial it back or something.
Yeah, because the fact that you can just grab an academy and then your Ghosts have Cloak, and then you just proxy Ghosts all the time. It's going to be really tough to.
If you're gonna give them Cloak immediately, why are you giving them 3/4 of their energy right off the rip?
Well, you have to cost energy to do the initial Cloak, and then it's going to burn the energy a lot quicker. So you'd have to.
What's the initial?
50 now. So I think it's like 25 to Cloak.
So I think
no, I mean the initial use, like how much does it cost before it starts doing the tick is what I mean. It's 25 to use.
I'm pretty sure that it's 25 to use, and then it'll tick down from 20 for the other 25 because it starts with 50 energy.
Maybe 20 seconds or something.
Unless it's 50 energy. I know what, I'm gonna look this up. Maybe somebody in chat will let me know. I mean, I don't play Terran.
Yeah.
Unless it is 50. And now you kind of have to wait until you get up to 75 to use that cloak. You
Why
understand?
not? Well, I mean, yeah, so if ghosts are already kind of in this weird cheesy position now, wouldn't starting them with 25 energy, and so they had to be out on the field for a short period before they can cloak, but that's always going to be faster than the old method of having to research cloak in the first place. So, I mean, why? I mean, this just seems like they're giving too much.
Well, Ghosts came out at 75 originally, so now they come out at 50, and you don't have to upgrade. So you get a little bit more flex early on, but that's what I'm saying. You're
getting like 20 seconds of cloak right off the rip, is what I'm saying. Where, and you don't have to research anymore. So they're going to be out faster. Terrans now have the ability to get gas faster.
It's aggressive.
So this is going to happen. It's
aggressive.
I'm sure they'll have to tune that one a bit.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but it's aggressive.
All right, so the next change is for the Liberator. This one's actually relatively minor compared to some of the other ones we've seen. Liberators, when you went into the Freedom mode, it would get a vision bonus so that it could fire the full range of the circle, which could be pretty large. So now what they did was you don't get that vision bonus anymore. You only get vision of the circle.
Yeah.
So, you can't use that to like spot or snipe for other things, but effectively it just lets your Liberator shoot in the circle.
Mm-hmm. That
seems good. .jpg.
Is it going to change the way you use Liberators? I don't think so.
No.
I think it's just so you can spot for things and just use the scout.
Yeah.
And it lets you actually sneak, and you can like flank the Liberators a bit easier because you don't get that crazy increase. Cyclone up next. They wanted to make lock-on not suck. So what they did was the first 4 shots.
I was unaware lock-on sucked. I'm sorry.
Okay. Last time I checked, you can lock on from one side of the map to the other.
They changed that up a bit a while ago, dude.
Last time I played StarCraft, they were pushing my shit in from a distance. We're talking far distance.
Might have mixed that up then. I might be outdated on the Cyclone. So what they did was the first 4 shots of lock-on are a lot quicker, and then it's normal. No damage change. It's the same amount of damage, but effectively you can get some of the damage up front as opposed to things running away. And then they're adding a what do you call it? They're giving there's this new upgrade called Armor Piercing Rockets. Gives a +2 armor damage to each of the missiles during lock-on, a total of +46 armor damage.
So, I mean, is this? I guess the only thing I get from this is
anti-carrier-y type thing.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'm getting from this, I don't even know if it would be anti-carrier, but the only thing I'm getting from this is like they're trying to make Cyclones more viable later in the game. They're trying to spread out. I feel like this is the theme in these changes so far in general, is to extend the usefulness of some of these units instead of in very specific points in the game, and kind of make them more useful throughout the course of the game.
Because StarCraft is boring, man. It's the same builds, it's the same everything, and what they're trying to do here is they want to... They have units that I would say 1/3 of the units in StarCraft just never get used. So now they're just trying to find ways to implement those units and change the whole meta up, even if it is in the slightest way, so that it makes the game seem fresh and exciting again. That's pretty much that. I mean, Cyclones are just dumb, period. They're just so broken, it's stupid. So, congratulations, Cyclones, you get another buff. Woo. I mean... not only can you rape early game, let's see if we can rape late game too. Wonderful.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch. I'm sure. What was it? Nate had like some sort of cheese ages ago when Cyclones were the hot thing on on the market, and so I'm sure that's going to suddenly make a comeback yet again.
I don't know. This next change has actually been making some rounds, and people have been having some really, really hilarious builds with them.
Okay.
It's called Smart Servos. They've had this in like co-op and some of the campaign stuff, but you get it from the tech lab on the factory, and you need an armory. Hellion, Hellbat, Thor, Viking transformation times are pretty much almost instant.
What?
So like when you switch modes, it's almost instant instead of like the whole like winding up. So you can do some pretty crazy things with the Hellion Hellbat transform. And then the Vikings also, it just makes it a lot, you can move a lot quicker with them.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I mean,
this doesn't touch Siege Tank Liberator, so they still take their time.
Yeah, I think it'll be big for, well, I guess really for all of them. I mean,
yeah, you have a couple of Vikings in there. All of a sudden, you drop them down on the ground. That's a lot of ground power, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's something that you'd almost have to just watch how it changes when it's, you know, actually in motion, like seeing it in combat, and so engage and disengage and stuff like that, and see how that actually affects how much damage the enemy either takes or can dish out because of that, you know, few frames or whatever that it ends up saving them. Which at a high level
Hellion
could be substantial,
Hellion to Hellbats takes a bit of a time for them to switch without this upgrade. You know, it's the difference between being able to defend yourself against like Zerglings swarming around your Hellbats and being able to run away, or, you know, being able to go from Hellion when you get surrounded into Hellbats to kill the Lings. That type of thing.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, cool. No, I mean that's an interesting, that's a change that I probably wouldn't have thought about in the grand scheme of things, so neato. So I think next up we're talking Protoss now.
We're going to Jeff's house.
Knock knock.
All right, these are like out of the three races, Protoss probably went the most ham on changing it up a bit. So they wanted to kind of mess with the High Templar, Colossus, and Disruptor a bit to you know, just change the use cases on them slightly, which we'll go into later. But they really took a look at how Protoss defends themselves early. The big component of that was the Mothership Core. Gone. Mothership Core is just out of the game.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye.
How do you feel about that, Jeff?
I mean, anyway, keep going, because there is a trade-off on that.
Yes. So with the Mothership Core being gone, they've changed the Nexus up. They've gone back to the old style chrono boost. It's not the forever on thing. It's effectively you use the energy and then you chrono boost like you used to back in the day, in Heart of the Swarm. So that's back. It lasts 10 seconds, doubles the building work rate, 50 energy off the Nexus. They've added 2 abilities to the Nexus on top of that. It's pretty much the Mothership's recall ability is now on your Nexuses, Nexi, and then they added Shield Restore, which is pretty much another way to use the energy where you can have it auto-cast and it'll restore shield energy. I think it's 1 energy restores 3 shields on a unit. So that's a pretty big way to increase the defense on it.
Now, the thing is with that shields generator, it has to be in a proximity of the Nexus, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you can't.
Well, it'd be like a shield battery.
Thing. Yeah.
It's like a shield battery in Brood War, right?
Battery,
yeah.
Man, I'm okay with no Mothership Core if they would have given you the option to overcharge your Nexus, even if it was at 100 energy.
Photon overcharge is gone.
Yeah. So I mean, how do you stop against Ravager all-ins? How do you stop Terran all-in pushes? These were things. How do you stop those mutaballs before? I mean, they're already hard enough to stop as it is. Like, and overcharge never really stopped muta. They just deterred them. It just scared them off.
Pull them back.
Yeah, so that you could re-engage and get ready to be in position. most of the times when mutas came into play, they could actually just go in and kill your pylons. Like it's just more of putting fear in your opponent. Like, hey, I've got an overcharge, be careful. But it never really done a whole lot. Well, now when the Zerg pushes with Ravagers and stuff, yeah, you can get an Immortal out. Yeah, you can shield up the Immortal, assuming that you were never using Chrono Boost to begin with, and you had to save that energy. And then on top of that, what is shielding 1 or 2 Immortals really going to do in the grand scheme of things? Those shields are going to get eaten up really quickly, and those overcharges were the thing that kept them from just pushing in and wrecking your base.
I feel like they didn't address the unit problem, like getting those early game units. Like the overcharge is effectively giving you damage and something to like deter the guy from coming at you. But if you don't have the units, it's like over. They added mass recall so you can get your units around, but early game Protoss doesn't have that many units.
Yeah.
So, you know, a Mutaball, you have to have anti-air, which is a little bit tricky, versus a Ravager push, you need different units to counter that. So it gets a little messy. I'm not sure how I felt about that overall. I feel like the shield recharge is nice, but yeah. Kind of one of the things they said to counter the Mothership Core's removal was they did buff the Stalker. So the Stalker now, it shoots a little bit slower. It goes from 1.03 to 1.54 on the shooting speed. So it's a little bit slower. But they
like it became a Dragoon.
Yeah,
I was gonna say this reads like they're turning it into a Dragoon, which
it's from 10 to 15 damage, 21 armor.
You would have to. Yeah.
Yep.
I still don't know how that stops mass ling and Ravagers coming at your base. I mean, yeah, sure, they might be bigger, but actually now they're going to be countered by lings even more because they attack slower. It just doesn't make sense to me on paper why they would get rid of the Mothership Core or at least get rid of the overcharge ability. Is this going to stick? I don't know. I think we're going to hear a lot of I mean, obviously, when I was reading the message boards, the fucking Terrans and Zergs were just praising the Starcraft gods out there that the overcharge is gone.
I would have been like, hey, take away overcharge, make the Mothership Core stronger, or be like, when you apply overcharge, the Mothership Core attacks air and ground and does it a little bit stronger because the Mothership Core doesn't do much damage.
Or all this still works fine, and then give the Nexus the ability to apply overcharge in an area around it to pylons. Like,
just put
how
overcharge
difficult
on the Nexus
is that?
Or something, and just shorten the range or something.
Because, like, I mean, really, the motherships usually, most of the time, it's in a defensive state, right? So, you know, if the Nexus can apply the overcharge to a pylon within an area, then it still accomplishes its purpose and allows for that. And maybe, but you know, and at that point, maybe they'd have to dick around with the period of time or the damage an overcharge does because of the changes to Stalkers. Obviously, the Stalker change is not going to be particularly effective against fast units like the Lings and whatnot, but I'm sure the Stalker upgrade is going to be pretty substantial against some other unit types for sure. I mean, that's going to be
armored. You get a boost, and then also per upgrade, like upgraded Stalkers will do +6 damage as opposed to +3.
Now, I mean, you're looking at like the mass recall. I think that's a game changer. I think that's huge.
It lets you harass a lot more.
It lets you harass big time. So now when you can go and do a push. So before, when I used to do my warp prism drops like on a Zerg main, and I'd force field the ramp and just start eating them from the inside, you basically had to commit those units to die unless you won the game right there and then. What's nice is now we're able to go and do some harassment, and if our warp prism does get killed by queens, or we are mutas or a big pack of lings come from the side of we just get caught, we can always have one of our Nexus or Nexi being able to do a mass recall to get us back. Now there is a time, I do believe it's what, 3 seconds or something?
4 or 5 seconds, yeah. It's
mass
while. It's like
4 seconds, yeah. So I mean, it's 4 seconds. You're gonna lose a lot of shit, but if you know you're gonna recall anyway, you can start that process. Yeah. So I do like that. Also, when it comes to base racing, if Terran is overcommitting into your base and you go and wreck their base, now you can mass recall back, and you can effectively do the damage you need to do at their base, and instead of just letting your base die, because you can't just engage Terran when they have medevacs and stuff without your full army. If you go in there a quarter or half, they're just going to melt you. You need the brunt of your army. So it'll be nice to go and do damage and then recall back home. Also, I think we're going to see some really cool cheeses where we're going to see some proxy nexus around their area or even in their base and then do a full recall from the inside, which would be a dope-ass play. So there's all kinds of cool shit that you can do. Very strategic. I like that. I think it's going to be a really good harassment tool, and I think it's going to be an even better late game thing for Protoss instead of just getting caught out. Because a lot of the times for Protoss armies, you need the army, the whole army. You just can't really split up like Terran. Terran does a great job at splitting up because they're strong even with 1 medevac and 8 Marines. I mean, you could do so much damage.
They just have way more mobility than Protoss, right? Has terrible mobility.
Yeah, and same with Zerg, right? You split up there. You want to split up. Protoss, you need to be in that clump. And so, you know, those decision making, those tough things to decide on if you want to go back or not. Even just trying to figure out if you want to go back, by the time that time is done, your window's gone and you're dead and you have to commit. So I do like the mass recall. I think it's huge. Would I rather have overcharge? Absolutely. But I like that change. I think that's going to be something very beneficial.
I think the scarier change here, as fucked up as a mothership core and everything is, the scariest thing I'm reading here based on, you know, the scant Starcraft 2 I've watched in the last while, is the disruptor change.
Yeah. This disruptor is now you know, we've seen a little bit of you know, going back with the Stalker becoming a Dragoon. The disruptor is now becoming a Reaver, just with no Scarab, just infinite. I kind of say that jokingly, no, but that is kind of what's happening. The Nova now will, when it fires out, it will detonate once it hits an enemy, up to 2 seconds later. So like, if you hit an enemy, it'll blow up, or you can kind of move it around. You let it move around a bit for 2 seconds before it hits something, and then it blows up. They reduced the damage from by 10 to 135, but they reduced that. They gave it a shield bonus a while back, but they like have that from like 55 to 25. So it'll be a lot less devastating than like nuking shields on Protoss armies.
Yeah.
They fire a little bit faster, but not that much. And the big one is the disruptor drops got nerfed, because now if you drop a disruptor out of a warp prism, it has to go through a short cooldown before it can fire. So like, you can't just fire immediately from dropping and then pick it back up and get out of there.
So that's what I'm saying. Like if in some crazy fucking universe you got the disruptor to help you bolster against stuff like the mixtapes of Doom pushing your shit up earlier on, you know, without your mothership core being on the field and no overcharge, then I mean, you know, it's going to be an Everest, but maybe manageable. And now they've gone and done this, and I mean, if it's going to
Nova into the middle of the army now, you have to wear through the army.
It's gonna hit. It's gonna detonate when it hits a unit, right?
Yeah. So
send a Zergling out in front. I mean, it's like
exactly right.
It's like a Baneling bait where back in the day, if it was ZVZ and it was who got speed, you know, speed Banelings first, and it was just whatever, and then it was who was better at sending off a Ling. And like just fucking like and get rid of a Baneling, except now it's the Nova, which is instant impact explosion, and it's way bigger than a fucking Baneling. So you just send one off ahead. You probably are just gonna see Zergs pensively send a couple of Zerglings out in front of their main army. And so unless you're here's the other thing: unless everything is in a tight fucking ball. More so than before, because you can't wade into the center of them all. It's going to be so much harder to accomplish anything. I mean, you would almost need to. I don't even know. Like,
I still think they're going to be used. I still think they're going to be used in PvP. And I think that the only time they're going to be used in PvZ is trying to get rid of lurkers and trying to snap away lurkers like we kind of use them now. But beyond that, against Terran, I don't see how it's going to be a huge game changer, especially now since Widow Mines, you can see them after their first detonate anyway, until they're recharging, because that's what I used to use disruptors for a lot is blowing up widow mines. You can kind of see the little crack in the landscape, so you just blow them up. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a nerf. But I still think they're going to be very strong in the right hands. It's just gonna require a lot more skill, and that's pretty much it.
They effectively said they wanted less of the whole game-ending disruptor shots, but you get a little bit more of them. Yeah. So that was their goal around that. Yeah. Next up, our favorite animal in the zoo, the giraffe or Colossus.
Oh boy! Hey, remember when Colossus were useful?
Yeah, they're
Pepperidge
trying.
Farm remembers.
They're trying. So, pretty much just dive right into it. They're like they're like thermal lance takes way too long to get, so we're gonna split the difference. First, what they're doing is thermal lance. The range increase that you get from it is going from 3 to 2, but they're increasing the base Colossus from 6 to 7. So net with it, you'll have the same range if you get the upgrade, but early on you get just a tiny bit more range. Not all that much. The big thing is, and they're changing up the damage on the Colossus, like in the structuring of it. It used to just do 12 damage flat. Now it's doing 10 damage flat and then 15 versus light. Yeah. So it'll be good for melting like bio balls and stuff. Yes.
It'll be a Hydra killer.
And then on top of it, and then they're changing the upgrades from just 1 to 1 plus an additional bonus 1 versus light. So, yeah, if you get upgraded Colossus, you're absolutely going to melt Hydras, light armored units. They're just going to
Marines
do that. Yeah.
Holy crap, are we going to see them again?
Yes, definitely.
And then they decreased thermal lance from 200 to 150, 150. So, yeah, I think we'll see them again.
Oh, they had to because nobody was using Colossus. Everybody's just using Disruptor, which I think they could have solved the Disruptor problem by just buffing the Colossus because because before you had to choose, you can't get both, or if you open up Disruptor, you'd have like 1, maybe 2, and Colossus, but you wouldn't even get Colossus because they're bad. Heavy. They're just bad, right? So I think they could have just done the buff with the Colossus, left the Disruptor the way it was. Or even just changed a little part of it, maybe the radius, the blow-up radius or something like that. So that way we're still using both units. I think now it's going to be, hey, let's not use Disruptor anymore, and let's just go Colossus.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's
Carrier,
good. It's
they're
really
just
good.
like, Carrier, they're just like, we might have been a little bit too aggressive on the Interceptor thing, so we're just taking Interceptors from 10 to 15 minerals. And that was the show. Like, they're just like, might be a little bit too much. So they just added a little bit to that. High Templar, it's kind of mixed on this one. They're like, we wanted to make it so that they're not that hard to use, so they can kind of, sort of maybe defend themselves. So that attack that they have in the campaign where the Templar can shoot like a little bit, like an auto attack from its head thing. Yeah, we're giving that to the multiplayer version. That's the show. Fires between about 1.25 seconds or so.
This was the way I saw this worded before was that they're just concerned about people moving the entire army with their Templars selected as well, and the rest of the army would stop to shoot, and the Templars tried to have a rave in the middle of the enemy's army.
Jenkins.
And just then all of a sudden they were all dead because they're just kind of not doing anything, and you've lost all of your caster units.
Yeah.
I don't know if okay.
It doesn't do all that much damage.
Even when I played StarCraft, I was shit, but I was still capable of doing, any good StarCraft player for an army could have upwards of 4 hotkeys dedicated to distributing their units to do things more surgically than just ham-fisting some shit with an A move, right? So for me, I capped out at an earth-shattering 2 hotkeys, whereby it was everything and then casters. If I needed to press more buttons than attack, they went on a different hotkey, and for everything else, there was hotkey number 1. I was even capable of doing that shit anyone could learn how to use 2 fucking hotkeys to solve that problem. I don't know if this is necessarily really a thing that needed to happen, but I guess neato. Sure. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Go for it.
All right.
Awesome.
This next one from Blizzard is, we're not really sure what to do with this unit right now, but this is just a starting point, and that's the mothership. Like, well, the mothership core is gone, so now you can just build it directly from the Nexus. It can no longer cast Photon Overcharge, and Mass Recall works the same as the Nexus version, just recalls it to the mothership. And then they said, this is not a final state, probably. We're figuring out what to do with it.
Yeah, that's they're probably gonna have to sit on that for a while and see just what the changes in general prior to the mothership coming out in the field.
The Archon toilet,
Oh man,
it would be cool. If
that was the bane.
If they did bring that back, but it made it smaller or whatever, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I think the
people got so salty about that back in the day. It was just like, oh, here comes the Archon toilet.
All right. This next one
Observer.
This is that one that Artosis was like, well, maybe y'all shouldn't have bad habits, but pretty much they added surveillance mode. You activate this mode, the radius increases 25%, and you can't move the unit. That's pretty much
okay, hold on. I need you to repeat that one more time, because I feel like that just went right over the old noggins. Give me that one more time. Play that back.
You press a button.
Okay.
The observer locks down, doesn't move anymore.
Sure.
25% increase in vision range. The reasoning behind this is when people press F2 to move their entire army, their observers do the whole Templar thing and go Leroy Jenkins and get destroyed. But in this mode, they physically can't move because they're deployed.
I don't think
you can deploy your observers.
I can honestly say this. Points. I don't think I have ever clicked F2 to grab my entire army since Wings of Liberty. I actually have. I don't think I've ever done it. I click F2 really for a location hotkey. That's my location hotkey. I didn't even know it was still a thing. I forgot.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, I think this is probably something. Well, I'm guessing this is just it's a default hotkey thing, right? It's not so the people that aren't in verbatim, it to win at high level.
Verbatim in their description, they said currently observers are selected with the select all army button, F2 by default, which can often bring observers out of position and to their untimely demise. I'm like, seriously?
Mine's selected by tilde.
They're like, we'd like to keep observers in this selection. We are considering adding the ability to deploy them, which is surveillance.
It's the same philosophy with the high temps. They're just dumbing it down for casuals. They're making it more casual friendly, and that's it.
Yep.
But why the vision increase though? I mean, if the goal of this is primarily all the language that you're talking, right now about this coming from them has been about the fact that F2, was grabbing them. Now you're holding position. It's still invisible, and you're just going to give them 25% more vision. I don't follow on that. I don't quite get why that also has to be there. Sure, I guess. Great.
They gave the same thing to overseers. So,
well, I think also what it is they put it in there because they want there to be a reason to get it. Because there's going to be a lot of players out there that don't have that problem, that don't F2 all their shit. And they're never going to upgrade. They're never going to get that upgrade because it's pointless. They're going to use their own observers, do their own thing. You give it 25% more, well, that might be a little bit of a changer. That might,
I don't think it's an upgrade. I think it just comes with it.
Oh, well then.
No, that's just a thing.
Well, then I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like it's just for people who don't have that problem of selecting their entire army. To give them a reason to use the ability.
Just for clarification, you can take them out of that mode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a siege tank where you're sieging it up.
So I'd almost be okay with 25% more vision if that bitch was locked in for life. Like, you chose a position for that observer to go, and that bitch wasn't leaving. It saw its demise coming. It got killed.
And I'm staying right here.
Exactly. It dumped the gas on the ground and said, come fucking get me. Like, if that was the case, 25% more vision, okay.
The come at me bro mode.
If you can get out of that and everything else, and the primary purpose was to help people that F2 to win, then that seems like a superfluous addition to the fucking change. I don't really get it. At least 20, like maybe less than it. 25% is fucking huge. Like that's
it is big.
That is a monstrous.
It's definitely a massive upgrade.
That's a monstrous upgrade. So anyway, I don't know. It seems a bit silly. I mean, I appreciate why they're doing it. I get it. I think the thing that I trip up on is the vision upgrade. I don't.
Why
though?
You're just like, why?
Yeah, but why though? Exactly. That Ryan Reynolds fucking take the doctor's mask off. But why though? That's me.
All right.
That's me.
Now we're rolling into the Zerg land. Pretty much they said they wanted to look into ways of making Zerg do more creep spread and, you know, deal with their specialist units a bit more. And then also wanted to see how they deal with anti-air a little bit more. So the first one is they're redesigning the Infestor.
Okay.
This one's a big one. I am actually confused as to what their thoughts are on this one. Fungal growth. The radius is now wider. It's going from 2 to 2.5.
Okay.
It can no longer hit air units, which for me, fungal was huge for anti-muta.
Holy shit.
So like for me, I was a little confused on that one. Now the big additional changes on fungal, units hit off creep. Instead of being completely immobilized, their movement speed is reduced by 50%. So they just move slower, but they can still move.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. On creep, they're stuck. Game over. And then they're doing some big changes to the infested Terran. They now get benefits from evolution chamber upgrades for range and armor. They decrease the damage. They decrease the damage from 8 to 6. They can't shoot air.
So they're just taking air off the table entirely for these guys.
And then they said it gets a new weapon called acid spores. Projectile range 6, damage 14, and it shoots pretty quick. And it's prioritized over the ground weapon. So I think it fires a different weapon. I think they're like little mini spore colonies or something. So they're not like Marines.
I don't think we're gonna see these. I don't think they're gonna be used.
Yeah. They spawn much faster on creep. Like when you drop them, they go a lot quicker. So I see them maybe being like a defensive thing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there were very finite, pockets in time that I remember over the years of doing StarCraft at the level we casted it, whereby infested Terrans were actually used non-ironically. And so I don't know if this is... Yeah, so I don't know if this is going to be the thing that magically brings them back, especially given the fact that you've now completely stripped, anti-air from the infested.
It's actually no. They're saying instead we are trying to have the infested Terrans move into an anti-air role. So that acid spore thing pretty much turns them into spore colonies. And looking at it, if you spawn a bunch of these, 14 damage with like a relatively fast attack rate, that's actually pretty devastating if you think about that, like against mutants and stuff.
I'd have to see that. I'd definitely have to see that in use to be able to better gauge that for sure. Yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, they're not totally stripping it out of. They're just shifting it into a different part of the unit. Ability. Yeah, fair ball.
Yep. Lurkers. The lurker itself isn't getting like a crazy huge change, but the tech path to it is changing. Yeah, there's a separate building called Lurker Den now. And you have to make it once you've built your Hydra Den. So it takes about 90 seconds to make. 100 gas, 150 gas, 100 minerals. And then they added the upgrade Digging Claws. Which does that one do? Increases the lurker's move speed and burrow speed. So effectively they have a speed upgrade. So they can get up and down a lot quicker. And that's about it. There's nothing else. I don't know. Like lurkers are kind of used, but I don't know how much that's going to impact them.
Yeah.
Are they still as annoying as they were for like there was a whole couple of patches there where I remember watching Jeff lose years off his life.
They're still annoying as hell. Yeah. You almost can't engage them in any way, shape, or form. You got to siege kill them or just go around and attack their base. They're very, very tough to kill. Very tough because their range is long and their DPS is high. So I mean,
effectively, you had to get that Hydralisk upgrade. That was like the priority thing. so you'd be stuck being unable to get lurkers, because you'd have to do that upgrade first and then go to get the lurker. And now they're just like, yeah, you can do the upgrade and build a lurker den separately, so you're done there. This goes for the next one's on the Viper. This is, again, like, I don't know what they're kind of doing for the anti-air for the Zerg, but the parasitic bomb is pretty much getting a big nerf. They don't stack with other parasitic bombs anymore.
Thank God.
Yeah, so they don't jump as much and crazily, but they did increase the damage on. But yeah, like, you're not going to completely melt like a Muta or Phoenix group anymore with it. Because it doesn't like stack and become exponentially ridiculous.
Yeah. I think that's a good change. I mean, it's not really a nerf and it's not really a buff. It's kind of like it's just a different direction.
Yeah. Overseer is getting the same thing the Observer did. Click a button, stops being able to move. All that jazz.
Yippee.
All right. Swarmhost. They said we wanted more counterplay against Swarmhost. You don't see them all that often. And they're pretty much just said we're gonna mess with the move speed. These things move slower off creep. And then it's easier to counter them. Pretty much off creep they go from 4 and change to 3 and change. And then on creep they still move at like 5 and change.
Yeah.
Nothing too ridiculous.
Nothing crazy.
And that's
there.
the show for the updates.
Yeah, I'll just because I was confused about the Observer thing. I think that the vision increase kind of makes more sense for an Overseer because you can see that son of a bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're going to lock an Overseer in place, there is a far more obvious risk involved than planting an Observer.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Yeah, so that's, I can live with, I still think 25% is a bit egregious. I think they could probably back off on that to maybe 15, but
for the Zerg, I think that makes sense because that's also their supply. So, they might have a ton extra, but it's one of those things where I kind of be like, locking it in, it's like a sacrifice.
Maybe. I still think it's too much vision. I think that they should have more vision in that mode because they are visible and totally just out there and whatever. But I think it's still maybe a bit much. But for the Protoss, I cannot for the life of me understand why they would get 25% more on a cloaked unit. That is really only there's only two ways you can really spot an Observer. One, you have units that shouldn't be seen that are suddenly being seen, so you can take a fucking guess that there's something in the area. Or B, you can see them moving across the map. But if they're locked in place, they're not really that easy to spot. So,
we'll see, Adam. We'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, you're dwelling on this a lot more than the Mothership Core, for Christ's sake. I mean,
well, I think the Mothership Core thing is probably. I think the Mothership Core thing has a higher probability. Well, they're going to have a higher probability. Yeah, I think they have a higher probability of dicking around with those things than they do with the, the stuff that they're, because the ultimate driver for those changes were players that weren't keyboard skilled, and so like that was the reasoning for it. So the odds of them dicking with that very much pretty slim. The odds of them changing up the fact that they just ripped the fucking Mothership Core and Overcharge out of the game for Protoss.
It's probably a good thing. Learning curve on this.
It's probably a good thing that you're playing StarCraft Remastered right now, because come November you would have been gutted for a while until they fix this up. But yeah, if any of these things get any major changes between now and November, obviously we can have a little chit chat about it, and kind of revisit it, because I think definitely there will be a couple of those where they're going to discover that was a poor life choice. We need to maybe back up on that bad boy just a little bit. So we only have, thankfully, for time on this anyway, we only really had a couple of things happen that I thought were really, for us anyway, worth having a little chit chat about. One of those things is the Secret of Mana. So we actually, I want to say in one of our earliest podcasts, we were talking about the Secret of Mana, because I was playing it a bit, and Jeff had picked up a card or something for it at some point, I want to say. And so we had discussed it, and so I thought, why not talk about it? Because Square Enix, in the big flurry of whatever remaster everything, these days, is remastering its everything. It's not even a remaster. It's like a complete, fucking rebuild, pretty much. And similar to what they did with, like, I want to say Final Fantasy IV, in terms of the graphical style and everything that they chose, the direction for this. They are doing voice acting. They are doing a completely overhauled musical score and local multiplayer, because you guys probably would remember that Secret of Mana had a multiplayer mode even back in the day with the action RPG kind of elements that it had, and so now we're going to get local multiplayer for Secret of Mana, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of people super fucking hyped for that because it is considered one of the best RPGs ever made. The weirdest thing about this story for me are the platforms in which they have decided to release this for. So, off the top of my head, I want to say it was PS4, PS Vita, and Steam.
Yeah, this would have been a game. This would have been a game that the Nintendo Switch would have just ate all up. Like if there was something that would sell Switches some more. Well, so if not, like you can get them in stores, but I mean, if there were a game that would kind of hold people over until real games came out, you know.
I mean, it's Square Enix, so maybe Sony was just like, "Hey, bro, keep it over here."
Maybe.
Like, I mean, maybe.
Possible.
But it's a serious gut punch to Nintendo, right? Because it's the perfect Nintendo Switch game. And even possibly, I mean, really, the Vita is obviously a far more, graphically capable box than the 3DS. But I mean, even possibly a 3DS title. So, I mean, shit, dude, that sucks. And I mean, when's the last time you heard of anything relatively high profile landing on a Vita? When's the last time you heard the word Vita?
That's just Sony.
I didn't know they still had the Vita around.
Sony.
Yeah.
Oh well, what can you do?
I thought the Vita was dead. I thought they had just finally put that shit out to pasture.
Yeah, we're done with this.
We're done with this now, It was a great experiment, but it's time to go away, but I guess not. So, yeah, there you go. Secret of Mana. I'm interested in it if they fixed how completely clunky as fuck the combat was in that game, because it was one of the first action RPGs, or action Japanese RPGs, and so it was a hot fucking mess. The AI was terrible. And so going back to the original is not particularly easy unless you've already done it earlier in life. So if they've done that stuff up, then yeah, I might even go back in and give the new version a go and see how that all comes together. Finally, before we go into segment 2, Final Fantasy 15. It's the game that just doesn't go away. Okay.
Before we do that, there's one thing we should... I feel like Jeff would be more interested than Final Fantasy 15.
Okay, what is it?
SNES Classic pre-orders went up this week.
Yep.
Okay.
They went up so fast that they sold out almost instantly, almost entirely to bots and botters, and they all started showing up on eBay already.
Oh yeah, they're selling for like $1,000 US and shit.
Oh no!
There's one on there for like $999.
And the worst of it is, like, Amazon went live with their pre-orders at 5 a.m. Eastern time on like a Monday.
Why?
So it's like 2 a.m. Pacific, and they still sold out in minutes. And like Target, GameStop, they all went live at like random ass times, like barely announced. So it's like they're going to be on sale at these different places, and then they're like, it just went up all of a sudden.
I got one, sold out. So I'm happy.
I hate you. I hate you so much right now.
Shit.
Yeah.
GameStop tweeted out, "Hey, we're going to be doing pre-orders in store." They had lines in minutes at their stores.
Yeah, I just walked into EB Games at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, "You got any pre-orders?" Like, yeah, we still have a few. So I got one, and then I got my wife to go get one as well after work, and by the time she got off, they were all sold out everywhere. So I just got lucky. I almost had 2 of them, but one is good enough. I'll share with the rest of the world.
Oh yeah, that was a hot mess. I think the release timing for that couldn't have been worse if they tried. I like, the bots were going to be a problem anyway, but they were given even more reign because it was just the middle of the freaking night that they did this shit. Like, they just...
Yeah.
Weird, Harold. Not as weird as the Final Fantasy 15 shit though. not quite as weird. So Final Fantasy 15, as per Gamescom, is coming to the PC. They were already talking about the fact that this was likely going to happen, but now we know for sure. It's getting the 4K treatment, HDR. They're spending even more money on this game. They're just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. I saw a comparison between the PS4 Pro and a PC version. I'm gonna be straight with you. Didn't really change a hell of a lot, but you know, you do you, boo-boo. So the other weird things that happened for Final Fantasy this week, they, as soon as the PC part gets announced, they say, for whatever reason, the first headline I saw, it wasn't even that it's announced for PC, the first headline I saw was Square Enix says, we're just gonna let nude mods happen because we're gonna leave it up to like the you know, moral compass of the community. And I was like, what? Why would you even take this to press and tell people? You
knew it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen anyway. Yeah. Somebody already has guaranteed texture files set up to give that freaking hillbilly chick that's at the gas station. She is nude with 6 different breast sizes and 4 different ass sizes. They're already ready to go. And whether or not she's greased up or whatever, it's all gonna be the different shit. There's gonna be like a fucking photo mode where she's gonna be laying on top of your big ass fucking ugly would-be Cadillac. It's already done. They're gonna press go on the PC release, and inside of fucking 45 minutes, you're gonna go to the Steam Workshop, and there's gonna be titties all over the fucking screen. So you just wait for that shit to happen. So that was really weird. Then they've got an Assassin's Creed DLC coming. Thank God this is free. But they get an Assassin's Creed DLC coming with like costumes and shit, and it turns like a city into like an Assassin's Creed city inside of Final Fantasy 15, and then you pretend you're like, I don't know, Ezio or whoever the fuck it is for this one, and there, you can even do like a dive off a tower and whatever, and yay, Assassin's Creed crossover with Final Fantasy 15 for whatever reason. Woo! And the best part of this whole thing, I think, well, I shouldn't say that. The nude mod part was probably the best part of this. They're doing a mobile version of Final Fantasy 15 that has... Okay, hold on.
Didn't they already do it?
This is the most. This is no. They had a mobile game. They had a mobile game related to Final Fantasy that was like whatever. This is actually Final Fantasy 15 in like chibi version for phones. That's 10 episodes long. The first episode's for free, and then they are going to punch you in the wallet for 9 more episodes for the release of the entirety of this Final Fantasy 15 mobile edition.
They're stretching. They're
Why
stretching.
they gotta keep punching us in the dick, man?
The real question is, when do the nude mods come out for the chibi phone version? I think that's what we're all wondering right now. When do I get the chibi nudes? When do I get the chibi nudes? Oh, it's absolutely crazy. I don't know. It's Final Fantasy 15. They just keep throwing money at it. I don't get it. I haven't seen updated sales figures for it in forever, but it must be selling like hotcakes somewhere in the world. I don't know where. Yeah. But yeah, the weird and wonderful shit.
Like a Terminator franchise, man. They will not.
It feels like a movie.
Yeah.
It feels like a movie. It feels like sooner or later I'm going to get like on the back of my cereal box one of those like fucking 3D like little cards that you peel off the back that you move it around and you see the dinosaur come at you. Like that. I feel like we're going to start getting that level of promotion.
Get fucking checks for Final Fantasy.
This is going to be a Netflix special starring Idris Elba.
Oh my god. Fuck me.
Honestly, if he's got Idris Elba, I'd probably watch it.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I probably would watch it. All right, that was a bad choice. I should have said some other shit. Some other, like, D-list Asian actor.
Barrett's back.
Yeah, Barrett's back. Can you imagine? Who plays Tifa in the Netflix Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 7 special? Oh, we can't say that because that's Final Fantasy 7. It's 15. Who plays the hick chick from the gas station in Netflix's special Final Fantasy 15? Melissa McCarthy. I was gonna go with what's her name? shit, she was in the Adam Sandler movie, and in that trailer, she's coming out of the water, like she's like the fucking just like a 14 out of 10 body. Deck.
You're not talking about Kate Upton.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh fuck, this is gonna drive me freaking crazy now. Somebody in chat better have that. Oh my god. Fuck, what's her name?
You shit in the bed, bro.
Damn. Son of a bitch.
I'm gonna trust she was good looking.
Whatever the fuck, I can't remember any. That's pretty bad. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Final Fantasy 15. It's continues to be something that exists. What next? Who knows? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was segment 1. We're going to go on our sellout break, moving into segment 2, whereby we will attempt to talk about TV and movie news for a short while before moving on to the side B to talk about your questions. So sit tight. Thank you very much for listening so far. We will be back after this commercial break. So,
okay.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provides you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions? We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight. back, ladies and gentlemen, after that cello break. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening. Hopefully some of you bought into that sellout, and now I'm going to go and, you know, spend money with reckless abandon. It's just the dream. Just go, just burn it.
Abandon.
So reckless. Hot news off the press as I quickly checked my phone. I don't know how immediate this is. This could be from like fucking 4 days ago for all I know. Apparently Microsoft discontinued the original Xbox One. So now your only options are the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X.
That doesn't necessarily seem that much of a surprise. Like the One S was the regular one. It's a little bit.
It was actually I think it's like a $50 difference or some shit.
Yeah.
Or
no
more.
point in having 3 SKUs of it out.
I know I agree with you. There's going to be some people that are totally kind of like fucky about it because of the, you know, obviously the cost of jumping into the S. If they didn't care about the 4K Blu-ray player, that's really the only it's really the only improvement there for the S. So anyway, that happened. But we're not here to talk about games anymore, guys. We're here to talk about movies and TV.
We were.
And the first thing that I've got on this list is the, we're just calling it the Joker movie, really. So I guess at some point, I don't know. For all I know, this could have been something that we've known for a while, but the first I heard of it was not that long ago, about a Joker origin movie of some kind being done, and that Leto was not going to be part of that. So, yeah, then we came up with, more recently, where the discussion of that was, is this replacing, I guess it was called like Gotham City Sirens or some shit. So now they're, I guess, debating whether or not they think this new Joker / Harley movie origin story extravaganza, whatever it's going to be, is going to be replacing something in the lineup that was already set in place, I guess, is the thing. Mr. Black, do you know anything else about this? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, what I'm reading and what I've heard about it is that there is going to be like a Joker origin story, kind of the making of the Joker. That is not going to be Jared Leto, but there will be a Jared Leto Joker Harley Quinn movie, and Jared Leto will be in Suicide Squad 2. So there's 3 different places where you're going to see Jared Leto as the Joker, or 2. Sorry, the Suicide Squad 2 and the Harley Quinn Joker movie. The origin, that's going to be a different actor altogether. So
yeah, one of the things I kind of noticed, I feel like Warner Brothers is kind of hedging their bets against their whole expanded universe of the movie stuff and some of the other stuff, because the next story actually ties into that too, where it's the Batman movie that they were going to do, where Ben Affleck was directing and everything. Affleck was already out as director a couple of months ago. Now he's actually completely out as Batman too. Director and Warner Brothers are doing that movie separate, and they're doing their thing, and that's separate from Justice League. So it sounds like Warner Brothers is like trying to do the franchises separately at the same time as they do their expanded universe. So I feel like they're worried, so they're like kind of just trying to hedge themselves or something.
I don't even know why they're that worried, because the last couple
Wonder
of DCU movies did really well. I mean, even Suicide Squad did extremely well in the box office.
Yeah.
It wasn't critically acclaimed or anything like that. They got a lot of hate.
I think that's
for
what
it,
they're worried about. I think that's what they're worried about.
I mean, since when is Hollywood worried about, you know, the critics' review? If it makes $1 billion, it makes $1 billion. I mean, you know, you see what it. I don't know. I don't know.
I think the weird thing here as well is that as a viewer of the movies, we're I'm not going to say talk for everyone, but for me, for example, I've now adjusted in the Marvel universe, whereby we're getting you know, the Avengers or whatever, the the movies where it has more than one of the heroes involved,
the cinematic
and then the singular movies, and they are we've got an actor over here playing it, and they're the same guy that's in the the package deal shit, and so there's a cohesive thing there. Whereas now it sounds like for the DC side, they still want to do origin/singular offshoot movies of the individual heroes, but we're going to use different actors for when everyone gets together to have a party. So it's going to be a little weird for me, for somebody who would rather see the same people show up, and play the role that they're playing, wherever. Instead of just having different actors for everything. I mean, I know that's probably like a really minor thing in the grand scheme of things, but it just seems like a weird. It just seems like a weird choice. Well, I don't know. Like, why would you do Leto in two places?
Yeah, but
not
I mean,
three?
One's an origin, so you're not going to have Jared Leto play a young Joker. I mean, it's
you don't play a younger version of yourself when it's that far earlier.
Yeah, you just don't do that. So I understand why they're doing that. And then
but
also,
not all of them are going to be origin stories necessarily, right?
Well, I'm not sure we're going to get any more Joker movies. I think they just want to do an origin Joker.
I just mean in general with the DC
show.
Universe stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know any other superhero that there's two different superheroes doing two different actors doing the same hero. It's just that this one in particular is an origin story, so you can't really expect him to do a young version of himself, which is to be expected. It's interesting. I think I know what you're saying. I think it's more interesting that and concerning that they're deciding to do an origin right now while everything is going on both sides.
Happening at the same
time.
I
think the reason why they're doing this is because they are planning to do a Joker Harley Quinn movie. They want you to get attached to the Joker. They want you to really know his character, so that they don't have to really convey that and do it all kind of like what they did in Suicide Squad, where you're just getting an introduction to like 8 different characters, and nobody gets any real shine time. It's all who makes the biggest splash within the movie. I think Harley Quinn pretty much stole the show in that film. So, I can see that. I had another train of thought there while you were going, and now I forget. So,
well, here's another question.
Come back at me.
And maybe this is related to what you're going to say, I don't know, but here's another question. Does the Joker need an origin story in the first place? Isn't most of the air around the Joker based around the fact that he is there is no origin. He's just He's just there. It's the Joker.
I think that's what makes it intriguing, is we can actually kind of find out about the character, because I think they want to make him an anti-hero. I think they want to make him, a Loki, so to speak. In order for you to really do that and get attached to him, I mean, we're all kind of attached to like the Heath Ledger Joker, and that's like, the character itself. But I think they want to, give some backstory, and you want to root for this guy, no matter how crazy you want to understand his crazy. And also another thing is what I think is sort of unique with what they're doing. And even if they did decide to continue with that Joker that is going to play the younger version of Jared Leto or whatever, if they continue to do another movie after that with that same actor, it's kind of like the comics, because in the comics, depending on who is publishing and writing the comics, there's different versions of Joker. There's all kinds, like in the comic, it really feels like comics, because same with Batman. There's different types of Batman. There's different types of Joker. There's different types of Spider-Man. So to see that, I guess, is kind of cool to see them portrayed in a different light, maybe a different tone. But it is a little confusing that they do want to do this right now when Suicide Squad 2 is going to be coming out, and they want to do a Harley Quinn Joker movie. It seems like a lot. And it also seems like kind of a spit in the face to Jared Leto, considering that they cut out the vast majority of his parts from Batman from Suicide Squad, which made it so that his character didn't really come off the way he wanted the character to. And he also got a lot of backlash from the fans because of the way this, meth-like Joker that he played, which I thought he did a good job at. Some of it was a little overacting, but I think
it didn't feel like the Joker to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard too because you've always got Heath Ledger, you know, the guy who made.
I wasn't
this...
even thinking about Heath Ledger. I was thinking like animated series Mark Hamill Joker. Even like that's when people say Joker, Mark Hamill is the one I think of. Heath Ledger was fantastic, but Mark Hamill is like the Joker to me.
I think I still think Heath Ledger is the Joker for me. I'm not a big comic book guy, so I never really got into the comics. I never watched the animated show, so I can't really, you know, get behind that. But I just thought Heath Ledger did a great job, and still Jared Leto still had hints of the Dark Knight Joker in there. It was like the Dark Knight Joker, but with a twist, like on meth. So it was like, you know, if he shaved his head down and dyed it green and put bright lipstick and eyeliner on and you know, acted crazy and had Tourette's, then that was Jared Leto's
It was like
Joker.
Heath Ledger, but we sprinkled a little bit of meth on him.
Pretty much.
But
yeah,
even once.
We'll see what happens.
It's like Salt Bay. It's like a Salt Bay but with meth, and he's just standing over top of Heath Ledger, just let's just sprinkle a little meth on it. A little bit of meth. So yeah, I mean, if they go through with it, I'm obviously personally, all you know, everything has an origin in a you know, in a sense, because there has to be a starting point for everything. So like you said, get to know was crazy. What happened to make him go crazy? So for me, like I said before, part of the air of the Joker was that I didn't know, and he was a complete unknown.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as soon as you know what his origin is, you're going to apply that to reading him, which would almost be like, I don't know, it just feels like it would change how I would look at the Joker. So, and I also think that for anyone that would you know, be in the same kind of position as I am, that it might put a lot more, not pressure, because it's fucking whatever, it's going to make a bunch of money, like almost guaranteed, but just pressure on the writers to do a really damn good job, and the actor as well, of showing that transition of going from not crazy to batshit. Because, you know, you have to imagine when you're the type of crazy the Joker is, are they going to go for, it was a death by 1,000 cuts scenario where it just built up into a crescendo of, well, fuck, now I'm crazy? Or did something so catastrophic happen and it was like a light switch and he just lost his marbles entirely?
His mind just broke.
And he just broke, you know, kind of scenario there. So yeah, I think that will be kind of interesting to see how they tackle, you know, that whole bit. The next thing that I guess we tangentially what?
Can't even speak, can you today, bro?
Tangentially, how do you even say that? Like,
tangentially.
Tangentially, is it an I? Is it an IALLY?
It's a TIALLY, so it's shully.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, there is a fly in my basement.
I've been watching it the whole podcast.
Yeah. There's been a fly in my basement for 4 days, and it's fucking driving me nuts. I come down every morning praying that the thing is dead somewhere, and I sit down and the thing is. I'm like, what the fuck? I swung at it so hard the other day. I hit my ear. My ear was ringing for like 2 hours. I was so mad.
You cupped your ear?
I was like, pow! And I was like, ah, fuck! And the thing was it just sits on my leg, it goes on my head, it flies on my screen. It just
better start naming it.
It won't die, man. It's crazy.
Just give it a name and then it's gonna become affectionate and then it won't bother you anymore. It will just fuck off somewhere. It's a secret. It's a secret to it all. But yeah, we talked a little bit about the whole, you know, the Affleck thing and the Batman thing. Do we have any more that we can add to that, or have we now officially?
I'm not surprised, seeing as he kind of went off rails a bit himself personally. I'm not surprised they're kind of sidelining him for a bit.
Was this like a Ben, go figure your shit out and come back later type move?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what happened back there.
Yeah, he's been he went into rehab and stuff. So, you know. not sure what's going on with him.
Well, in news that that made me smile just a little bit, the Gambit movie is still alive. It breathes. Oh, yeah. It fucking lives.
Are they like starting over or some shit?
They are like fresh slate starting over with this shit. So, and the reason it's happening, and this is fun because we talked about this over the course of, you know, several different movie segments, when Logan came out and had the R rating and just smashed it. And before that, and it was Deadpool, kind of led the way in that R rating kind of superhero type deal, and that smashed it. And so now that those have happened, the studio's going, okay, we can take Gambit now and put him over here. And so Gambit apparently is starting over from scratch because they're going to be able to, and this is according to Channing talking about this, to do things that they weren't going to be allowed to do originally with the movie. And so they're just fucking washing it all away and starting over. And that makes me even more excited because that means we're going to get an even more mature Gambit movie. And Gambit being my favorite X-Men, now I'm all my tits are just up, man. I can cut glass right now, let me tell you.
Got a little chub for Channing there.
Well, I'm not a huge Channing Tatum guy. I think he's a super nice dude, and you know, he did 21 Jump Street was pretty fucking funny. 22 is also pretty funny. I mean, he's a good dude. This will be a movie whereby I'll get to see him do things a little darker and a little more seriously. But there is like a lot of biting wit in the Gambit characters, so we'll see how much of that he's able to kind of get out there. But I'm just excited that the movie's going forward, and I'm even more excited that it's not going to be some, you know, PG-13, because Gambit is possibly, next to Wolverine, possibly the least PG-13 of all of the X-Men, especially in terms of origin story and how he generally just is. So yeah, so that was that. And other than that, I couldn't find dick in the TV and movie world this week. So if anyone else has anything else to add, we can run with it. Yeah. Anybody watching anything that's, you know, got them going? Anything else that's coming that I missed?
Yeah, I saw that.
But I heard that went bad. It wasn't great, but I still want to watch it.
I saw that the other night. Slut fly. Look at this fucking thing. He's huge too.
Oh yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, I saw the Bodyguard movie 2 days ago with the wife. I think it was Thursday night. We liked it. I mean,
Should I go watch it? Should I go watch it?
No, you don't need to like rush out and go see it in the theater. But it's Samuel L. Jackson playing Samuel L. Jackson, and
what a shocker!
And Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool. That's what it is.
Okay.
And it's fun. It's a little, there's nothing special about it. We've seen this movie a bajillion times over. Some of the stunt work in it is impressive. Some of it's lazy. Some green screen stuff is lazy as well. It looks really fake. But at the end of the day, you're paying to see the interaction between the two stars, and it works. It really does. It's funny. I laughed out loud many, many times. Sometimes it takes itself a little too serious. It's trying to be like a serious R-rated, almost a buddy cop movie. But
I was gonna say it's a buddy cop movie.
Well, they're not. Well, they're not cops. One guy is a. Samuel L. Jackson's character is a bad dude. Let's put it that way, and he kills people. And what's his face? Ryan Reynolds plays a protective guy whose job is to protect people, high profile people. He's a bodyguard, and but he's a AAA bodyguard. So he's something. So
Samuel L. Jackson is like a hitman, and then yes. Ryan Reynolds is like a bodyguard.
Yes. But there's I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a twist to it where Samuel L. Jackson needs to have protection, even though he doesn't want it. And then it's pretty much the whole movie Samuel L. Jackson like trying to get rid of Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds trying to keep his word and
yeah.
It's
so
one of
Samuel
those
L.
movies.
Jackson just being grumpy old fucking Samuel L. Jackson and
you know
Ryan
what?
Reynolds.
Samuel L. Jackson isn't really grumpy in this movie. He's definitely a dick, but he's not like it's not like a mean demeanor type thing. There's a playfulness to him, but he is a dick, right? He knows he can take care of himself. He's like, why the fuck are you here, dude? And Ryan Reynolds is because he's got his own agenda as well. So,
but
it's good.
Does he have a purple lightsaber though?
No purple lightsaber.
Oh.
But he does say motherfucker at least 40 times in the movie.
That's when Samuel L. Jackson dies, his gravestone's just gonna say motherfucker, and that's gonna be it. That's the entire epitaph.
And just like in Deadpool fashion, there's a lot of meta in there. Like they even address things like that. So it's fun. It's like watching Deadpool before the next Deadpool comes out.
Yeah, when I saw it originally,
it's
when I saw it originally, I was like, all right, what happened was Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson are friends, and they were like, what can we do to get in a movie together? Let's do this.
Yeah, pretty much.
and then this is the movie that kind of came out of, which is great.
It's a good Netflix movie. It's a good date movie. But don't go to the theater on an expensive
Don't run
night.
out to watch it.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Here's something. When was The Foreigner, the Jackie Chan movie? When is that?
That's like October, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it still like super far away?
Yeah, the preview for that came on during that movie. So.
Oh, okay. I'm jacked for that movie.
I'm not that jacked. I don't think it's.
I just like Jackie Chan, so yeah. I mean, I'm ready for some Jackie Chan in my life. There's never a bad time for Jackie Chan, so I'm good for. Did
you see they just Forbes released the top paid actors? Trying to get this up here, like the highest paid actors here. Let me get this up because some of these are gonna surprise the fuck out of you. You can be like, what? No.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson supplies the first 4 people in that list. And then number 5 will be like...
his left bicep, his right bicep, his chest, and then him
and his
as an
dick.
entity.
All right. So... why is this...
I bet you there's comedians in the top 5, 2 of them or some shit.
I don't know why this looks a little different here. All right, so here we go. So this is for 2016. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, number 1 at 64.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Chan at number 2 for 61 million.
He does a lot of movies in China though, so shocker there, right? Because that market's huge.
Matt Damon, 55 million.
Matt Damon.
Tom Cruise, 53.
Fuck Tom Cruise.
Johnny Depp, 48.
Dude, how the fuck is Johnny making that much money? He's off playing in some fucking hippie rock band.
He did Pirates of the Caribbean.
I guess that's all you need to do
make
at that
money,
point.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There was, I think the list came out for 2017 so far, and I'm pretty sure Mark Wahlberg was number 1. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was number 2.
He did something.
He ran a train though. Like there were like several movies in a row that just made boatloads of money.
Adam Sandler was like number 3 with like fucking $40 or $50 million. Adam Sandler.
He knows what he's doing. He produces shit tier fucking Netflix movies that he does for fun.
Yeah.
He calls up his friends
so he can get a vacation, pretty much.
Yeah. He says, look, guys, I've got 40 kegs out back. We're going to make a movie. Come have some fun, and let's fucking do it. And then that happens. And the movies are generally 3 out of 10, but you can still get... It's Adam Sandler, so there's like 2-3 seconds maybe of the whole movie. You get some sick enjoyment out of it. And then this is fucking it.
Yep.
And apparently, I can't remember what the numbers were, but I remember seeing some stats on Adam Sandler movies on Netflix, and dude, he fucking kills it on Netflix. Oh, yeah.
Well, kills it. A lot of it is. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers out there, boys. I'm gonna ruffle some feathers, but I think
ruffling.
The type of people that watch Adam Sandler movies are the same type of people that voted for Donald Trump. I think. There's not a there's the selection is I picture some rednecks with some shotguns in the middle of fucking.
You think they don't know that he's Jewish?
No, I just think the pool of people watching those movies and that are really legitimately enjoying them with the type of lowbrow humor, the fart jokes and things like that. I don't. That's what I envision watching. That's it. As I have not found an Adam Sandler movie funny in a very, very long time. Very long time.
I would not disagree with you. I would not disagree with you on that.
It's just the type of humor. It's really not funny. And I know that funny is subjective. Humor. But yeah, that's what it is. It's lowbrow fart jokes, poop jokes. Yeah. It is what it is. That's it.
And yet here he is making all that money. But
here's the thing. Here it is making Netflix movies. You know what I mean? Yeah. That tells you that the vast majority of people, the moviegoers, you know, they just do not find him funny. He can't star in a role anymore. The biggest thing that he had was Pixels. That was the biggest thing that he's had in forever and a day, and it was targeted basically towards kids. So
yeah,
you know.
Bro, I want to remind you that Pitbull's an international fucking superstar. So just the world that we live in is fucked up. Oh yeah, and Iggy Azalea makes money. So, you know, if there is a deep dark hole that we can go down, but I think and even then, actually yesterday, it's like you were playing the fucking T-Pain Unplugged motherfucker. This dude can actually sing R&B like no tomorrow, real good shit. And instead, because he's going where the dollars are going to go, he turns on an auto-tuner and sounds, you know, fucking whatever and makes his money that way. So, yeah, I mean, there's a deep, dark hole to go down for people doing shit for money that they know it's going to work. You target the big market where you don't put as much effort in, and you still make a shitload of money. Adam Sandler movies probably have a budget of like $4. Everybody just coming over, doing it for fun.
And the guy's making tens of millions.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a smart dude, man. You got to give him that, man. He knows his shit. He knows the business inside and out. And it's you don't see very often that washed up comedians are as successful as he is. I mean, he's making like Dave Chappelle money, and Dave Chappelle is like in his prime again, and he's making like Kevin Hart money, like he's legit making Kevin Hart money. And he's a fucking
but I don't find Kevin Hart funny either. So
yeah, but at least Kevin Hart, he's new.
I'm short and black.
Yeah, I mean Kevin Hart is funny, man. Kevin Hart is a funny guy. I can take or leave him. It really just depends. But he's charismatic. He's likable. He's sellable. He's got massive followings. He's just in the now. He knows how to network. He's also very business savvy. And the fact that Adam Sandler, a guy that hasn't made a hit movie in like 20 years, is still pulling in. He's in the top 5 for Forbes making money on comedies. Damn, man, good on him. But damn, I don't know.
He kills it. I had no hate for Kevin Hart and his ability to fucking get it in because he gives her. But I just like you said. I mean, humor is subjective.
Yep.
And most of his shit, I just don't like. I see him like a young midget Steve Harvey, where his career is like 2 notes and involves 50% his reaction face, and that's like Kevin Hart. Except Steve Harvey is deadpan. I might not be alive inside anymore, where every time somebody on The Feud says penis as an answer for show me penis, and then Steve Harvey's like,
yeah.
And he pulls that dead face. Kevin Hart's, instead of deadpan, Kevin Hart's is like the fucking like weird pull fit. Like that's Kevin Hart, right? So for me, it's whatever. He's a business savvy motherfucker. He's great.
Steve Harvey's reaction is so overdone that Kenan Thompson does it on Saturday Night Live now.
We've hit it. We've hit it now. We've
got
achieved
rid of Celebrity Jeopardy,
maximum.
and now it's Celebrity Family Feud with Kenan Thompson as the host.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so there you go. Both of them. Adam Sandler getting it in.
I still can't believe I'm just shocked, dude. I'm fucking shocked. Adam Sandler. Like, I'm just
again.
It hurts me.
Iggy Azalea. Have you ever just sat down and read Iggy Azalea lyrics to shits and giggles, dude?
I don't even think she writes her own things, which is the worst of it. Like, if you're paying somebody to write your music and you're still coming out with that product,
if your ghostwriter is that bad, the fuck are you paying them for?
I'm sorry,
Seriously.
I'm sorry. Can we talk about this for a little bit, actually,
dude?
Okay,
1 second. Adam Sandler. At 1 second. Adam Sandler's worth $400 million. He's worth almost $500 million. Adam Sandler is worth almost $500 million, dude.
Yes.
This guy's a goddamn legend. How do you do it? Tell me your secrets.
He's having, dude, he went through a period where he was just like depressed and shit, and he said, fuck it, I'm just gonna go make movies with my friends, and it just so happens that makes him a shitload of money.
He's found a market, and he is running it.
Absolutely, dude.
Damn.
I don't even think, dude, honestly, as smart as Adam Sandler probably is, and let's be honest, he's probably a pretty fucking smart dude.
Oh, he's probably really smart if he got his plan going.
Yeah, I don't even think he's gonna think that hard about it. I think he's just doing this shit for fun, and it's just fucking working for him.
Well, I don't think here's the thing. Adam Sandler has a lot of connections, so he can get a lot of cameos with other comedians and things like that. Not like the upper echelon, but well-known comedians that maybe are just kind of lost in the fucking void of Hollywood. But here's the thing. His humor he's never changed. He's always been like, my name's Adam Sandler.
Titties.
Yeah! And he does those stupid things, but he's now on Netflix where you can get away with that on these low budget. People are going, well, I'm never going to go see an Adam Sandler movie in movie theaters. Like, come on, but I'll sit and watch him on Netflix because I know, and everybody's got Netflix. It's just. He just found the right thing, and I'm sure there's probably moments in each of his shows or movies that are legitimately funny because the dude is a funny guy, but he just could not. There's no way he could hold a big budget movie ever. He's just bad. Anyway, I digress.
I don't think he cares about it. I don't think he wants to.
When you're worth $400 million, I wouldn't give a fuck either.
He decides he wants to do a movie. He'll come up with some ridiculous premise. He'll get some studio to give him a couple $100 million, and then they'll go shoot in some tropical location and get all of his friends to come out.
All he needs is like $10 million, bro, and he's gonna turn it into $300 million. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Crazy. Anyway. $400 million.
But Panic wanted to talk about music. I'm interested in what Panic says. Is he going to get hipster on us?
I just wanted to know, no, I wasn't even going to go hipster. I just wanted to be like, you guys started bringing up Iggy Azalea and stuff. I'm like, how bad have music lyrics gotten over the past 5 years? They've just been like
5? Like 5? What are you talking about?
I mean, there's good songs in every era. Yeah. I mean, you're always going to have good artists, but I mean, the vast majority of music these days suck asshole.
It's pretty vapid.
And it's all about the beats. That's what makes songs catchy. It's more of the production, the mastering of the song, and the artist is just sort of the vessel to show off the actual engineering that goes behind making legitimate music. You could, I mean, when you have a guy named Savage 21 that just goes 21, 21, 21, 21, 21, and but the beats are just straight fire, and they're going triple platinum and shit, then I mean, it is what it is. It's the same thing with like EDM and stuff, right? It's all about how the music makes you feel. And we're in an era now where it's like it's all drug infested. It's all about popping Molly and going on ecstasy and all these crazy party drugs. So if you have these upbeat music or heavy bass that's just gonna vibrate through your body, that's like the thing.
Everyone just wants to listen to, and I can't seem to find Molly.
That's pretty much
Molly.
it.
Molly.
Everybody talks about Molly, man. Molly and all these That's
Adam,
all
you
it
should
is.
do EDM voiceovers.
Yeah, yeah, that's my niche. That's my Adam Sandler niche. Just EDM voiceovers.
There you go.
No, I mean, music, here's the thing. Music in every generation, there is really good music, really good lyrics, really good everything. I think the difference now is that is over time, it's getting increasingly difficult to discover that shit. Because there is a thick pile of pop music on top of what would be considered higher brow, I guess, musical whatever, maybe, because before there's always been pop music or popular music that's been usually the whipping pole for the rest of the music industry, but even that shit used to be better by orders of magnitude than we've got now. I mean, now it's pop music. Back in the day, you still had to be able to have some sort of fucking musical talent in some way, shape, or form. Now, the vast majority of people, I'm not saying that nobody does, but, I mean, case in point, T-Pain, the motherfucker literally hamstrung himself with auto-tune so that he could be more popular. So instead of showing off his actual musicality, his actual musical talents, his actual singing voice, we got, you know, I'm in love with the fucking stripper in auto-tune, you know, and I'm gonna buy you a drink,
which is catchy
in auto-tune. Yeah, right? So, like, you know, that's it. And it just gets kind of... And even though the internet has you know, oswashed us a bit with the ability to find stuff on streaming services, because just like every discography forever is almost available if you just go looking for it hard enough, it's the fact that you still have to dig through that shit. It's like you have to have like a deep mind AI to find you shit that doesn't include... you know, the same friggin' 4 words that everyone else has used for the last 5 years.
The last thing that I'll add before we get out of this and move on is also music these days. There's so much of it. We're in an era now where anybody, I mean, look at all of our microphone setups. I mean, we could make a legit sounding song, and YouTube and SoundCloud and Spotify and all these other places make it so that, I mean, a lot of these... I mean, I'm into the hip hop scene, so a lot of these like hip hop artists, R&B artists, they don't even get scouted out by major studios. They are like creating their own music, their own buzz, their own social media following, and they disrupt the music business in the industry on how it's actually done. I mean, you look at Chance the Rapper, a guy that just came up on his own. And this guy blew up and refused to sign to a major label, and yet, you know, he's winning awards. He's doing all these big things under his own name. You know, look at somebody like Hobson as well. Although he isn't on a record label, it isn't a major thing. He does his own things. He makes these great music videos. He has a huge YouTube following, huge social media presence. That's the reason why it's harder to find good music, because before, good music was only being shipped out by the majors around. You couldn't hear it anywhere else. Now you can discover great music that isn't necessarily on the radio. All you hear on radio now is shit that sells. And now that it's so available to everybody, there's great musicians all over the place. You just need to do something like auto-tune or something like that to stand out amongst the crowd, because a good singer is just a good singer. There's so many of them out there. You need to differentiate yourself in some way, shape, or form, and have your own style and your own swag. And a lot of times now you got to create sort of your own culture, your own movement, your own dance, your own dab, your own whatever. And those are the things that catch on in the social media world. So the industry has just changed. Yeah,
for sure. So there you go. Long story short, go and buy Iggy Azalea's latest album. It's absolute fire. Lyrical genius.
Dumpster fire.
Lyrical genius.
Hey man, we specialize in dumpster fires here.
That's right.
That's right.
We might as well push our intro theme with Iggy Azalea.
You know what I've always kind of wanted? Okay, so just before we end with this, the three of us we would know, and some people from my community, you know, Brian Smitty. So there was a period of time where Smitty would just show up in Discord, and he'd say nothing else, and then all of a sudden he'd just drop like an entire Iggy Azalea bar. No context, no anything, just come in, Iggy Azalea bar. And it was always so fucking random, and you didn't know at first, you know, until you caught on that that's what he was doing. You're like, the fuck are you saying? And he was like, you know, Iggy Azalea wrote that shit.
Speaking of intros,
yeah.
Bruce Buffer now has a thing where you can pay him to do an intro for
fuck off.
For whatever it is that you want. If you want it to be a ringtone, you want it to be like for a show or whatever, he'll actually do the whole starting announcement.
Holy shit!
Thing.
How much is he charging for that?
Actually, I don't know, but that when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh,
you thought about it?
Fucking right, I thought about it. You're damn right, I thought about it. But
I think that's money from it.
I think that's cool.
Holy crap. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head on over to Side B, and what that means is if you're listening to this on iTunes or YouTube or somewhere else and you're not here with us on Twitch for the live stream, which we hope you do show up in the future for if you're not here for this one, we're gonna be gone for a while, and you'll be able to catch Side B when it comes out in a few days, unless, of course, it's already been released upon you listening to this. For those of you on Twitch, sit tight. It's just another short break, little sellout jobby before we come back to answer some of those fine tech support questions from our patrons. So sit tight for that. Thank you so much for listening to this point. And until we see you on the next one, peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provides you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight.